We heard from Black Sash on their expectations ahead of the State of the Nation address tomorrow. Let's now get the wish list from the hospitality industry. We're joined by Rosemary Anderson, who's the chairperson of the Federated Hospitality Association of Southern Africa. Ms. Anderson, I can almost anticipate what is top of your wish list, but I shan't spoil it. Do tell us, what is number one?
We really would like the state of disaster removed. And the reason for that is that for tourism and hospitality to survive, let alone thrive, we need certainty. And by its very nature, the state of disaster allows government to make decisions at the last minute, allows not to trade, allows not to be able to sell alcohol, close the number of, allows not to be able to serve to a certain number of people, doesn't allow us to travel within provinces. All of this is uncertainty, and we need certainty. No one wants to come to a country where there's a state of disaster, where they know that rules can change just literally within hours. And that's why we really need it. And the other reason also, Dudu, is that we're hoping when they do close the state of disaster, it will make government reassess all the rules that are currently in at the moment, which make no sense at all and which are really damaging tourism. And the PCR test is really a deterrent for our overseas international market. It doesn't make sense at the moment that you're allowed to not self-isolate if you're asymptomatic, but at the same time, we've still got to take your temperature when you come into a venue or a restaurant or a hotel. We've still got to take down your address and your details. So we really need to have a fit-for-purpose set of rules at the moment, which we currently don't have.
Also, I guess the second point would be the recovery efforts that you allude to. So these PCR tests, the checking of temperatures and dissuading, people from coming into the country. You talk about a case of tourism and hospitality, including improving the visibility and accessibility of South Africa to inbound international source markets through a proper e-visa system. What does that mean?
What that means is, we're competing basically against all the other countries in the world. So we've got to compare ourselves to other countries as to how easy it is to visit us versus visiting them. So internationally, all the big players are now going after the Chinese market. Granted, they can't quite travel at the moment, but we will know that lifted. The Indian market, all new growing markets, which are exceeding all the usual markets. Our competitors, whether it's America or the UK, they do not require them to have visas which involve them having to go and visit a city in their country in person to actually get a visa. What they do is you can just apply online. It's a proper e-visa system where literally you get the visa to visit one of their countries within hours, let alone days. South Africa, conversely, you have to go into the actual embassy to get a visa. You might live 50 hours from the place, and you still got to do that. So we just make it difficult to travel to South Africa. And we genuinely believe that we could change our system and put in a proper e-visa system. Currently, the system that South Africa is working on is basically an online system. It's not really e-visa. Once it's online, then humans will get involved in making the decision, so it'll take a long time. We really need to get aligned with what other countries are doing to be competitive and make it easy to visit our shores.
Let's expand on that in terms of what other countries are doing so that we can remain competitive. You believe the small window of opportunity to raise the profile of destination South Africa is closing?
Oh, absolutely. Just have a look what Australia is doing this week. We're being left behind. And, government always talks about job creation. Hospitality and tourism is like the golden arrow. We could create so many jobs because by our very nature, we're very labor intensive. And South Africa is magnificent as it is. We do not need to build any more beauty. We've got it. All we need to do is make it easy for international travelers to visit our shores. And we literally can create millions of more jobs.
You do also speak of quick wins in terms of allowing the tourism sector or the hospitality sector to bounce back.
Yes, there are lots of quick wins. At the moment also there are a number of government government is making it difficult to get license for some things. So, for example, if you are trying to get a license to become a tour operator and have your passengers in the car with you, it's almost impossible to get a license at the moment. There's so many things when it comes to getting a liquor license. It can take up to 2 years to get a liquor license. All of these things create jobs. All of these things create businesses. All of these things add to the economy. So if government can actually just fix these departments to allow hospitality and tourism to do what it does best, and that is create jobs and add to the economy, there are lots of quick wins that are out there.
What of a cash injection?
Well, to be honest, if government literally just made it easier for us to conduct business in South Africa, we wouldn't need a cash injection. At the moment, it is just very, very difficult to operate in hospitality and tourism. And our municipalities are also exacerbating the problem because bulk service delivery is now becoming a rarity versus like a standard norm. So if government can just do what it normally is meant to do, hospitality and tourism will take off like crazy, especially, as I mentioned, the big thing about being able to allow international tourism into our country and stop all the things such as the PCR tests and all the unnecessary things which are no longer applicable.
There's quite a healthy wish list, Ms. Anderson. If you have one that you would really like the President to talk about tomorrow, what would it be?
I think it would be to start doing things because there's so many much better people before me that have spoken about what we need to do. But it's just to do things. It's so difficult to get government to do things. And unfortunately, as a sector, we rely so heavily on, for example, the Department of Home Affairs to organize the visa system, and the Department of Transport to make it easy to be able to get some form of license to conduct a business in touring. We depend on all these governments. If you could somehow just get government just to start doing and not talking anymore, get the right people in the right jobs with an urgency. You know, we've had the state of disaster because of COVID, but the economy and the joblessness and the social problems caused from it, that is really necessitates almost a state of disaster. Just as all the rules for state of disaster for COVID have allowed government to make all these rules very quickly and rapidly and not follow protocol, I would almost think the same thing needs to happen in now because of our joblessness, where rules need to be made really quickly without following process, just to quickly open up the market so we can all do what we do best, and that is create jobs.